It's finally happening. The New York Knicks are targeting Nick Richards at the trade deadline, while Leon Rose in the New York Knicks front office looks for ways to use some insurance for the Block Nest monster himself, Mitchell Robinson, while he tries to return from his foot injury, and we're going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into the video as usual. If you guys like the content, make sure to subscribe. It helps me out a ton. 28% of viewers are subscribed. Let's get it up to 30. Let's get to 11K and beyond subscribers. Let's do this thing. Let's talk about my king, Nick Richards. I have wanted the New York Knicks to trade for Nick Richards since last summer. I think he is the perfect piece for this team. The Knicks need a center, a true center, someone who blocks shots, scores at the rim, gets rebounds, because Precious Achiuwa is undersized and Jericho Sims has not been cutting it. Here's our guy. Here is our guy, Nick Richards. I am such a big Nick Richards supporter. I think he's got so much value that he would bring to any contending team, including the New York Knicks, who, as we know, need a big man, and Evan Sidery revealed the good news as saying the Milwaukee Bucks, Sacramento Kings, New York Knicks, Los Angeles Lakers, Denver Nuggets, and Phoenix Suns are among the teams recently expressing trade interest in Nick Richards, who's averaging 9.2 points, 8 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks per game. The Hornets are open to moving some of their veterans for future draft capital. New York Knicks, this is where you step up to the plate. Look, they don't have a lot of draft capital left, but Nick Richards is not going to cost that much to make a trade for. And because I love to pitch this trade, we're going to show it. Precious Achiuwa, and you know what? Because there's a market for him, throw 2 second-round picks the Hornets' way. Get Nick Richards on this team. Do what you got to do. The man helps you win. I know Fanspo disagrees and said the Knicks lose a win by this, but the Knicks get a true big man who can play with Karl-Anthony Towns, can play separately from Karl-Anthony Towns, can do his thing, and just be a true traditional big man. Yes, Mitchell Robinson, the Block Nest monster, our own, everyone's favorite swamp monster himself. He's going to come back. He's going to play basketball this season. Does Nick Richards still make sense? Absolutely he does. Mitchell Robinson and Nick Richards cannot share the floor together. However, both of them can share the floor with Karl-Anthony Towns, because Towns stretches the floor and shoots at a 44% three-point clip. So the New York Knicks can, in fact, have a true center with Karl-Anthony Towns. Mitchell Robinson is probably not long for the New York Knicks. I expect him to get traded over the offseason. Nick Richards makes only $5 million, can replicate a lot of what Mitchell Robinson does. The Knicks can then use a mid-level exception, stay farther out of that area of getting in the second apron, use that Mitchell Robinson contract and maybe even something else to try to trade for someone else, to try to make a trade for a scoring forward off the Knicks bench so they can become a better team in the 2025-2026 season. And I think this is the perfect start to it by acquiring our guy, Nick Richards. A lot of Knicks fans are interested in Nick Richards. I've been singing his praises for 6 months now, and Leon Rose has to try to get this done. Nick Richards won't be that expensive. There's a lot of big men up for trades right now, and it seems like the value isn't crazy high. Now, taking a look at something else Sidery mentioned was that Nikola Vucevic, Robert Williams, Jonas Valanciunas, Nick Richards, and Day'Ron Sharpe are currently viewed as the most likely centers to be moved by the NBA trade deadline. Multiple second-round picks is the buzz around probable base compensation alongside necessary salary matching. Now, that's what this is. We'll make it bigger. You get 2 second-round picks, so multiple second-round picks, and you get salary matching for a guy who's an expiring deal and a young player with a lot of upside still in Precious Achiuwa, who would fit really well next to LaMelo Ball. And then you get 2 second-round picks on top of it. This is a win for both teams. The Knicks get a guy who helps to compete. The Hornets get a guy who you could kind of use as a project, and if you don't want to bring him back, you could let him walk in free agency. He's got an upcoming unrestricted free agency period where any team could sign him, and he'll probably go to some team that'll give him minutes so he could try to develop into a bigger player than he is now. Though I do love Precious Achiuwa. Look, I'm not advocating for the Knicks to get rid of Precious Achiuwa. He's just the easiest guy to trade away in this scenario. You can also do something where you try to acquire Cody Martin as well, as the Hornets have been known to be shopping Cody Martin around. And then the Knicks could trade Mitchell Robinson for those two, and that also would help the team. It gets them to 50 15, not 50. They get some of the 15 guys on the roster. You could obviously make a waiver, or you could trade Jericho Sims for 2 second-round picks, or what the Knicks want is 2 second-round picks, probably for 1 second-round pick. Get some extra money freed up, and then what happens? Then you could sign TJ Warren and put him on your bench and get the scoring forwards you need, and the Knicks would be a much better team this year. So I'm not advocating to trade Precious, and in that scenario that I just named, the Knicks get to keep him, which is important because he's Precious Achiuwa. Precious Achiuwa. I mean, I love him. Got to show the Precious propaganda once in a while. But he might have to go via trade. I don't think the Knicks are going to end up re-signing him because how close they'll be to the second apron. So it makes more sense to trade him because he's got a tradable $6 million contract. You can get a true big man for him. You could also, on top of that, you can potentially make some other moves. You get an extra $1 million added if you trade him for Nick Richards. You could trade Jericho Sims for second-round picks then. You can then have Nick Richards, have Mitchell Robinson, have Ariel Hukporti, have a litany of big men, have Karl Anthony Towns, who could play the 4 or the 5, and then have money to sign TJ Warren in free agency. Boom. Seems like a good team to me. I like that idea. I was sticking my arms out, but you can't see. It gets cut off. See, look. In case you didn't know, there's a cutoff. But the New York Knicks, they are in perfect position to go try to acquire Nick Richards, who is just, I think, the perfect fit for this team. Nick Richards is a very special player. He's been used off the bench for the Charlotte Hornets, but has a lot to offer to a team. Now, off the bench, he averages 9 points, 8 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 1.3 blocks, shoots 56% from the field, doesn't foul too much, gets a lot of assisted twos, but can also score on his own, gets a lot of offensive rebounds and putbacks, and that's helpful because Mitchell Robinson does that, so he mirrors Mitchell Robinson. Because there will be some series in the playoffs and some games in the playoffs where the Knicks will want to start Mitchell Robinson over Josh Hart because it just helps the lineup. It helps. You need more big guys. You need more rebounding against some teams like the Philadelphia 76ers. It makes way more sense to start Mitchell Robinson if you're facing them, so you could kind of have a guy to guard Joel Embiid, battle on the rebounds. If you're playing the Indiana Pacers, it makes more sense to go 5 out. If you're playing the Boston Celtics, you could try either way and see whatever works. There's a few different options. If you're playing the Milwaukee Bucks, you want to start Mitch to help guard Giannis. It all depends on matchups, and so it all depends on how much Nick Richards is going to play. But he would have another year on that $5 million per year contract where he would get a better chance to play in the second season after the Knicks trade Mitch for a scoring guy off the bench. The Knicks become a better team through that. Nick Richards gets to get developed by guys like Tom Thibodeau, Othello Harrington, Mark Bryant, bunch of great big men coaches right there who help develop big men very, very well. It would make the Knicks a better team. All of this does lead to the New York Knicks being a better team. And as I said, Nick Richards is a very special player. I really like the way he plays. And I mean, just taking a look here, like he grabs offensive rebounds, shades of Mitchell Robinson, but he goes back up and has a nice touch at the post. He rolls off his screens well. He scores well. I mean, that's him shooting over talented players on the 76ers. The Sixers have been much better recently. He rolls off screens great, gets positioning great, catches lobs. He does all the things that Mitchell Robinson does. Is he as good as Mitchell Robinson? No, but he does a lot of the positive things. He's a good interior big man. Look at the offensive rebounding and just putting it right back in. Shades of Hartenstein as well right there. He's not the passer Hartenstein is, or the ball handler, but Nick Richards has a lot going for him, and the New York Knicks should 1,000% pursue some way to land Nick Richards. Now, Mitchell Robinson, when he's healthy, is an absolute force, averaging 10 rebounds per game, 6 points, and 1.5 steals and blocks when he's healthy. Now, after he got hurt, these numbers went down, but when he was fully healthy, he was having the best season of his NBA career. Outside of that, you have guys like Jericho Sims who have not really been cutting it this season. The Knicks are interested in trading him. You can trade him to a team like the Grizzlies that could take on his $2 million, give you a second-round pick in return. You get money freed up. You get to sign someone else. You also have a Jericho Sims trade exception that you can just waive or something and then get rid of that so you don't have to have that extra money held over. You could sign TJ Warren through that. You have a lot of good stuff going for you. You'd have to actually make another trade because you only have you don't have $2.5 million. You need like around a little over $3 million to sign TJ Warren, but you could make that extra money somehow through trading Precious for Nick Richards, as well as you could just go out and sign Chuma Okeke instead if you want to do that. If you trade Jericho, the Knicks, if they trade for Nick Richards, Jericho Sims is as well going to get moved just because there will be an absolute cluster of big guys. Or you can trade for Cam Whitmore, as I've mentioned in previous videos already. He's someone who, if you want to go to the Rockets and try to make a trade with them, they have shown interest in Jericho Sims. You could package something around Jericho Sims and Pacome Dadier for for Cam Whitmore, and then still make that trade, the precious trade for Nick Richards, then also free up the money for TJ Warren. The Knicks have a lot of ways they could trade for this guy, and it would be really helpful for the Knicks, and I think they'd win more games if they did. However, I do want to know what you guys think, so like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications, have a great day, and wait, I'm not done. You might have thought I was done, but there is something I also do want to talk about very quickly, and no, this is not an ad. This is just some stats. For anyone who's part of the Precious Hive over the Nick Richards Hive, here's Achua's numbers. 5.6 points, 5.9 rebounds, 52% from the field. Here's Nick Richards. 9.2 points, 7.7 rebounds, 1.3 blocks, more than Precious. Better from the field. Nick Richards is the guy. He's who you go for. Easy win for the Knicks. Not that expensive. You make the move. You get it done. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Knicks!